How do you know you've had a good recruiting year?
Um, when they when the puppy dogs grow up to become, real dogs, then you really kind of know. You think by evaluation, which recruiting is probably a bit of an inexact science. I think evaluation of players is an inexact science because you can probably measure some of the physical characteristics, but you really never know for sure, what the psychological disposition is to develop and compete relative to what you're capable of. I think that's probably true in anything, not just sports, but it makes it a bit of an inexact science. So you really don't know how the players that you got will develop. Where they are right now, they look like they're pretty good, relatively speaking. But how are they going to develop over the next year or two or three? And what's their maturity level going to be to be able to compete? And I think one of the most important things in development is, how do you accept the critical eye? People who have goals and aspirations and really want to accomplish something, they're always looking for people to, tell me what I need to do to get better. But then we have, quite a few folks that they've had a lot of success. So they look at it more when they get corrected like it's personally insulting. So it makes it harder for them to grow and develop. So all these factors sort of, come together to determine how someone develops and how early they're ready to contribute and how quickly they actually develop the skill level to be the kind of player they're capable of being.
And I find that really interesting. You're talking about, and I have kids who are in their early 20s, and you're right how you can say something and then how they accept it. And I was curious how recruiting has changed for you over the years. What's the biggest difference that you've seen?
I think that expectation that the player has now is a lot greater than it used to be, which I think is a little bit of an obstacle to overcome. Because I think when people have expectations, like I want to start as a freshman or I want to catch 50 passes or whatever as a freshman, and then those things don't happen readily because they are focused on outcome-oriented type things and not what they really need to do to get the outcome, they get frustrated. And when they get frustrated, they don't perform as well, they don't develop as well, they don't improve because they're got a negative attitude about things. So,
well, social media has been, that's a big opponent that you have to fight as well, of what people say to these kids, and they are kids, and then how they react to it.
Well, and I think you're 100% right. It's the expectation that gets created by social media. And, look, 20 years ago, we didn't have all these recruiting ratings and 5-star, 4-star, but all these things create an expectation. And it's not the player, it's not the young man's fault that these expectations are created externally, but they do have an impact and affect some guys. And they think they're failing if they don't meet these sort of, I'm going to call them almost false expectations because they're not realistic in a lot of ways. So it takes away from this whole process of thinking about what I have to do to develop and get results and become very outcome-oriented and disappointed if I don't get the outcome that people expect.